The American dream was never really about freedom in the abstract. It was specific, it was physical. It was a patch of soil, a structure of wood and brick, and a deed with your name on it. For the better part of a century, the single-family home was the primary vessel for middle-class wealth creation. It was the exit strategy from the rat race, a hedge against inflation, and the one asset that allowed a family to say, "This is mine and you cannot move me." But look around you. That vessel is being dismantled, plank by plank, by a new class of owner that has no intention of living in the homes they buy. We are witnessing the systematic deletion of individual property ownership, not through a violent coup or a sudden legislative ban, but through the quiet, relentless machinery of capital accumulation. The headline you have seen 1,000 times is that housing prices are skyrocketing because of low supply or millennial demand. But while those factors exist, they are a smokescreen for the real story, the institutionalization of the American neighborhood. In the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, a door was left open, and while millions of families were foreclosed upon, facing ruin, massive investment firms saw an opportunity to acquire distressed assets at pennies on the dollar. But what started as a recovery tactic has mutated into a permanent predatory strategy. Today, entities like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, along with massive private equity firms like Blackstone, are not just investing in the stock market, they are buying the physical infrastructure of your life. In Q1 of 2021 alone, institutional investors purchased 15% of all U.S. homes for sale, and in some specific neighborhoods in Atlanta, Phoenix, and Miami, that number shot up to over 50%. This is not a fair market. You, an individual trying to secure a mortgage with a credit score and a down payment scraped together from years of savings, are entering a bidding war against a multi-trillion-dollar algorithm. These firms come with all-cash offers, waiving inspection contingencies and closing in days. They are not buying these homes to flip them. They are buying them to hold them. Forever. This is the birth of the build-to-rent revolution, where whole subdivisions are now being constructed explicitly for the purpose of never being sold to a human being. The goal is to convert the fundamental human need for shelter into a perpetual revenue stream for shareholders. When a corporation buys a house, that house leaves the ownership market, likely forever. It is removed from the pool of generational wealth and added to a balance sheet. Why is this happening? Because in a world of volatile stocks and uncertain currencies, real estate is a hard asset with a captive audience. You can choose not to buy an iPhone, and you can choose not to watch Netflix, but you cannot choose not to have a roof over your head. By cornering the market on single-family homes, these firms are effectively turning housing into a subscription service, leveraging their near-infinite access to cheap capital to outbid you, only to rent the house back to you at a premium that increases every year. This creates a permanent underclass of renters. When you rent, you are paying off someone else's asset, covering their mortgage, their taxes, and their profit margin, while your own net worth remains stagnant. The shift is subtle but total. We are moving from a society of owners to a society of users, and the landlord is no longer a guy named Dave who lives down the street and fixes the sink on weekends, but a faceless, stateless conglomerate that manages your existence through an app. The psychological shift here is profound. When you own nothing, you have no roots. You have no skin in the game. You are a transient entity in your own community, subject to the whims of a corporate policy update. This is the first pillar of the Great Reset of property, the transformation of the home from a castle of autonomy into a service you subscribe to indefinitely. If the walls around you are no longer yours, surely the things inside them are. This is the second front of the war on ownership, and it is fighting under the banner of convenience. We are rapidly transitioning into the everything-as-a-service economy, or SaaS. This model suggests that ownership is a burden and that access is the true luxury. But beneath the marketing, the mechanics of SaaS are designed to strip you of control over the physical objects you pay for. The Trojan horse for this transformation is the Internet of Things, IoT. For years, we were sold the idea that a smart device was a better device. A smart fridge could tell you when you were out of milk, and a smart tractor could optimize harvest patterns. But the connectivity of these devices serves a much darker purpose. It tethers the physical object to a digital license. This distinction is legal, not just technical. In the eyes of many modern manufacturers, you do not own the software that runs your car, but are merely licensing it. And because the car cannot run without the software, you do not effectively own the car. This is the battleground of the right to repair movement. Farmers in the American Midwest have found themselves hacking their own John Deere tractors with Ukrainian firmware just to fix a broken sensor, because the manufacturer has software locked the engine to prevent unauthorized repairs. If a farmer tries to fix the tractor they paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for, the machine interprets it as a breach of contract and bricks itself, shutting down completely until an authorized dealer unlocks it for a massive fee. Apply this logic to everything. We have already seen BMW experiment with charging a monthly subscription fee for heated seats, hardware that is already installed in the car you bought, but artificially locked behind a paywall. This is the future of all consumer goods. Your washing machine, your thermostat, your vehicle, and your entertainment systems will function only as long as you maintain your subscription status. The danger here is not just about money, it is about control. In a world where every device is connected to a central server, the manufacturer retains the power to disable your property remotely. If you miss a payment, your car doesn't get repossessed next month. It simply refuses to start this morning. If your social credit score were to drop, or if you were deemed a violator of terms of service, your smart home could lock you out. We have already seen instances where smart home companies shut down their servers, turning expensive hardware into useless paperweights overnight. We have seen Amazon remotely delete books from Kindles, and we have seen Google disable accounts, locking users out of years of photos and documents. This is the precarious nature of the subscription life, where you are constantly one terms of service update away from losing access to your life. This model creates a dependency loop. When you cannot repair your own goods, you are dependent on the manufacturer for every service event. When you cannot own the software, you are dependent on the server for every function, which erodes the resilience of the individual. In the past, if the economy crashed, you still had your tools, your car, and your house. In the SaaS future, if the economy crashes and you can't pay the monthly fees, your tools stop working, your car shuts off, and your smart lock evicts you. The Great Reset is not just about taking your assets, it is about replacing the durability of ownership with the fragility of access. You are being trained to accept that you are a user, not a master, of your material reality. As the reality of homeownership fades for the majority, the financial system has invented a solution that is arguably more insidious than the problem. It is called asset tokenization, and it is being sold to the younger generation as the democratization of real estate. The pitch is seductive. Can't afford a $500,000 home? No problem. Buy a token representing 0.01% of a home for just $50. This is marketed as financial liberation. It uses blockchain technology to fractionalize real estate, allowing you to hold a digital share of a property, theoretically earning a tiny fraction of the rental income it generates. But let's look at what this actually accomplishes. It completes the severance of the human being from the physical utility of the asset. When you own a home, the value is dual. It has financial value, appreciation, and utility value, shelter. You can sleep in it, raise a family in it, and paint the walls. When you own a tokenized fraction of a home, you strip away the utility entirely. You cannot live in 0.01% of a house, nor can you take shelter in a digital wallet. You are left with pure financial speculation. This benefits the asset managers and the large institutions immensely. By tokenizing real estate, they make an illiquid asset liquid. They can raise capital from the public to buy up neighborhoods, while the owners of these tokens have absolutely no control over the property. You have no say in who rents the house, how much maintenance is done, or when it is sold. You are providing the liquidity for BlackRock and others to expand their empires, and in return, you get a digital receipt that fluctuates in value. Furthermore, this model incentivizes the very high rents that are keeping you priced out of actual ownership. If you hold tokens in a real estate fund, your return on investment depends on that fund extracting maximum rent from tenants. You are effectively betting against your own class. You become a micro-landlord in a digital ledger, incentivized to support policies that drive up housing costs, even as those costs crush your ability to buy a real home to live in. This is the ultimate abstraction of the economy, turning the basic necessities of life into tradable digital baseball cards. It creates a psychological trick where people feel like owners because they have a portfolio of tokens, while in reality they are trapped in perpetual rentership. It is the financialization of serfdom. Consider the endgame of this technology. If real estate becomes fully tokenized, the market becomes global. A billionaire in Singapore, a hedge fund in London, and a sovereign wealth fund in the Middle East can instantly buy up the housing stock in an Ohio suburb with the click of a button. This drives prices up based on global speculative bubbles rather than local wage realities. The local teacher or firefighter doesn't just have to outbid the local doctor, they have to outbid the entire global financial system. Asset tokenization is the final lock on the gate. It ensures that property rights are transferred from the physical realm of deeds and keys to the digital realm of smart contracts and ledgers, controlled by the entities that run the platforms. It solves the problem of you not being able to afford a house by changing the definition of ownership to something that suits the investor class. It creates a facade of participation where you get to feel like a capitalist while living like a feudal peasant. You will own a fraction of nothing, and you will be told it is the future of wealth. When you combine these three forces, the institutional buyout of housing, the shift to software-dependent goods, and the fractionalization of assets, you see the blueprint for a new societal structure. It is not capitalism as we knew it, and it is not socialism in the Marxist sense. It is techno-feudalism. In the feudal societies of medieval Europe, the vast majority of people were serfs who worked land they did not own, lived in cottages they did not own, and used tools that ultimately belonged to the lord. In exchange for their labor and a portion of their harvest, they were granted protection and the right to exist on the land. We are recreating this dynamic, but instead of lords and manors, we have asset managers and cloud platforms. The Great Reset slogan, "You will own nothing and you will be happy," was originally framed by the World Economic Forum as a prediction of a service-based future where drones deliver products on demand. But the happiness part is the variable. The own nothing part is the trajectory. The elimination of ownership is the elimination of privacy and autonomy. Ownership is a buffer. It is a shield between you and the state, and between you and the market. If you own your home, you have a sanctuary where no cameras can watch you unless you install them. If you own your car, you can drive where you please without being tracked, mostly. But in a subscription-only world, privacy ceases to exist. A rental home managed by a smart tech corporation can monitor occupancy, temperature, and noise levels. A car you license can track your speed, location, and driving habits, selling that data to insurance companies to adjust your premiums in real time. A society without private ownership is a society of high compliance. If your ability to access shelter, transport, and communication depends on your standing with a corporate provider, you become risk-averse. Dissent becomes dangerous. If you protest against the corporation that owns your apartment complex, do you risk lease non-renewal? If you criticize the tech giant that runs your car's OS, do you risk a service interruption? This deepens the wealth gap to a point of no return. Wealth is not just income, wealth is asset appreciation. When the middle class owns homes, they participate in the growth of the economy. But when they only rent, they pay into the growth of the economy without retaining any of it. The separation becomes absolute. A small owner class that holds the deeds, the patents, the algorithms, and the land, and a massive user class that pays a monthly fee to exist within that infrastructure. This is the subscription model of life. It creates a fragile existence where stability is always conditional, eroding the community because transient renters do not invest in their neighborhoods the way owners do. It erodes the family because generational wealth transfer becomes impossible. You cannot bequeath a subscription to your children. The Great Reset of property is not a single conspiracy theory. It is the logical conclusion of a financial system that prioritizes efficiency and yield over human autonomy. It is the result of allowing capital to flow without friction, while people remain stuck in place, with the narrative being written right now in the fine print of user agreements and the code of smart contracts. The question is no longer about whether this shift is happening. The data shows it is. The question is whether we are willing to accept a definition of freedom that includes everything except the right to own the ground beneath our feet. We will have traded our independence for convenience, and by the time we realize the true cost of the subscription, the cancellation period will have long expired. The future isn't coming anymore. It's being installed. You can either be a user of the new system or a product of it. The choice is yours. Hit that subscribe button to keep your eyes open, and I'll catch you on the other side.